We're here at historic St. Paul's Chapel on Broadway. This is where the truthers are flocking. We're going to go out there and meet them, talk to them, and we hope that some of them have developed, after 7 years, a narrative of the events of 9/11/2001.
I'm interested in what's going on, so I live in Westchester. So I went to the president of the AIA Westchester Mid-Hudson region, and she'd never heard of 9/11 Truth. She had no, Carol Chapa is her name. And I spoke to her. I just asked, what do you think of this new report, and what do you think about the report that Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth had put out? She was stunned by the evidence. She couldn't believe it. So she's actually now going to be talking to her board, hoping to meet up with more local architects and engineers. And I think it's good to ask questions. If people have questions on the official report, why wouldn't there be a new report?
I'm saying that every demolition expert is going to ask the same question. Why is there no physical evidence of demolition?
I don't want to be interviewed.
How do you promote a truth if you don't speak?
Both towers came down in 9 seconds at the speed of gravity as free fall and straight down to its own footprint. And then you have the molten iron. Molten iron. It's not molten steel. It's molten iron in the basements for over a month.
But that's exactly not a reason to suspect demolition. I mean, the iron is under the rubble pile. It's being insulated from the elements. It's retaining heat, and as a consequence, the temperature's increasing.
But how can it have so much more heat than jet fuel can provide? How can it have?
It has nothing to do with the jet fuel.
Thousands of degrees, 3,000 degrees. Jet fuel can't get that hot.
But there's no explosive that gets that hot.
You would have had just mass, and it would have. And what happened to the core columns? There's 47 steel core columns in the center of the building. Where do they go?
But are you aware that NIST released 10,000 pages on this subject? I mean, I don't prefer. I haven't read all of them. I've read the executive summaries and NIST NC Star 1 and 2.
NIST always said that there was factors that they couldn't explain. They never explained it.
They certainly
Thunder actually admitted there was no firefighting in building 7. So how could you pull firefighters?
We say something, you guys poo-poo it. You guys say something, we poo-poo it. So we get no. The truth is still the truth.
You're making an excellent point, and I keep arguing that the best way to do these things is to stage debates, open, free debates. I mean, personally, I have a little show with a small audience. I don't cut anybody's mic. I don't shout anybody down. If you see the show, you know I had Jim Fetzer on for 3 shows, and we let him talk and talk and talk. Yeah.
What TV station are you from?
Just a little cable show here in New York called Hardfire.
They tell the firemen in the buildings that the building's going to collapse. Giuliani got a phone call. The firemen aren't good enough to get a phone call to get out of there? That they knew that 1 and 2 were coming?
The fire battalion chief did know that World Trade Center 7 was going to come down as early as 2 in the afternoon.
Giuliani got a phone call saying 1 and 2 were coming down.
Actually, the firemen were saying, at least I saw them on...
Who told Giuliani that 1 and 2 were coming down?
Look, as far as I know, the fire department told them.
How come John D. Martini said that the planes were, or the buildings were designed to take multiple impacts of jetliner?
But he was right. The building was designed to take the impact of a plane. What they didn't reckon on was the effects of the fires, the loss of the fireproofing. The plane withstood the impact of a commercial airliner.
This was well planned, long in advance. The U.S. was telling other nations that they were going to be invading Afghanistan by October.
For what purpose?
To take control of a pipeline that was going to be built from the Caspian Sea down to the Strait of Hormuz.
That's the Unocal pipeline. That was That's a Clinton-era project that was killed in 1998.
It wasn't killed. It wasn't killed. Condoleezza Rice and her business partner, a consultant, Hamid Karzai, set up that deal. They threatened the Taliban.
Unocal killed it in '98 because they
do not give us a carpet of gold.
No, that is a canard. The Unocal company decided they couldn't guarantee the safety of their workers.
As Naik, he was the State Department representative that actually passed that threat on to Taliban representatives.
But there is no pipeline.
No, the U.S. military is on the point for point the places where they were constructing the pipeline. That's the U.S. military's real job, to protect the pipeline.
But we're not building a pipeline.
There's no pipeline in Afghanistan.
We're not building a pipeline. There is no pipeline. The project was killed.
Strategic land for oil and energy dominance.
Well, how do we dominate oil if we're paying over $4 a gallon? Aren't we buying this oil at market prices?
Inflating the price by controlling scarcity.
BBC released a document about artificial scarcity in the 80s.
Now OPEC is turning off the spigot to squeeze us a little more. Now, how can this be good for us? I mean, in other words, if I say to you, you and I are going to go into a criminal enterprise together, you're going to love my plan, I'm all ears, and I say, tomorrow morning, here's what I'm going to do. I got a gun hidden in my apartment, and when no one's looking, I'm going to blow my foot off. And you say to me, what's the point? And I point? Do we need a point?
This is sheer fact. There is no money in peace. You cannot make any money in peace. The military-industrial complex can't make a dime if we live in a peaceful world.
I've seen your program several times, and what I've witnessed is a primary agenda of pigeonholing the 9/11 truth movement into controlled demolition, and that may simply by default be your guests on the show who want to discuss that issue. But
we just did a show with a no-planer.
Okay, well, I mean, you're still dealing with the physics of 9/11. Let's talk.
Theory has a Godzilla sitting on his head.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree. That's completely insane. But on the other hand, no, these people really believe their theory.
Perhaps, yeah, and they seem to get a lot of attention from the international media and our domestic media as well.
Well, look, it's so wacky it sells. You know, I mean, people want to hear the craziest, silliest stories.
Aren't these folks that say controlled demolition duly as crazy in the eyes of the general public in the world?
Look, I am not qualified to draw up a hierarchy of craziness. My own view is that someone who speculates about controlled demolition is not as crazy as someone who says there were no planes when 100,000 people saw planes. You know, I mean, controlled demolition is a theory I don't believe in, but it's not completely insane. You know, if you say that, well, the buildings came down because flying reindeers butted them with their antlers, you're a little bit crazier than the no-planers, but not much.
Donald Rumsfeld admits $2.3 trillion missing from the Pentagon.
Mr. Rumsfeld, where's this $1.3 trillion?
$2.3 trillion.
$1.3 trillion.
And there is no money missing. You have to understand that. The money is spent.
When in the history of human life has a plane evaporated? We lost a space shuttle going 18,000 miles an hour over half the country, and they were able to piece it back together partially. The commercial airline did not hit the Pentagon.
The passengers and crew were identified by DNA testing.
That's fine.
A conspiracy this vast would have unraveled very quickly.
Nonsense. It has. It has.
Name one whistleblower.
Sibel
Edmonds never says anything helpful to the truth movement.
Said is that they had definitive foreknowledge, dates, times, and targets. That's one.
She has never gone that far.
She certainly has.
Do you see the problem here? If we ignored warnings, then
What do you think warnings were? What do you think warnings were? Here's warnings were.
But then they were real attacks.
The intelligence communities of other nations saw what these nuts were doing and saying, listen, guys, chill. Okay, this event was not so much a shot at the American people to get us to do what they want. This was a shot by the neocons who seized power even from the power brokers to tell the other nations, we're playing a different game. We're playing a bigger game. Don't mess with us. We're really serious. That's what this was. This was a message to the world. The neocons got in accidentally because this was supposed to be... Those guys seized power from the people who assembled the Bush administration, and when they took over, they sent a loud message, don't mess with them. They're playing for real. And that's what
but the outcome was obviously very bad for them. I mean, the neocons are all looking for jobs.
Yeah, they're also Machiavellis. Okay, these guys will do anything to achieve their goals. Anything.
What do you think their goals were?
Well, they've published them. Why don't you read them? There was never an investigation. The investigation, the mandate of the Keene Commission was to take the official story as told by the Bush administration and document it, and anything that didn't stick to that story, forget about. And the most notable testimony omitted from this official report was Rudolph Giuliani, not Sibel Edmonds, not the fireman. It's Giuliani himself isn't even in there.